Expressing your love can look many different ways, and with the right jewelry gift from Blue Nile, it can truly sparkle. Blue Nile's collection of classic diamond jewelry makes for the kind of gift that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Or switch things up with a sapphire piece sure to spark conversation. Either way, Blue Nile's Diamond Guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Express yourself with Blue Nile and get up to 30% off at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Hey, true crime fans. Tired of ads interrupting your gripping investigations? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. After all, ads shouldn't be the scariest thing about true crime. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free true crime. That's amazon.com/ad-free true crime to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hello and welcome to 31 Days of Terror Day number 3, and I have 2 spooky stories for you today, and the last story comes from the 20th of August 2024, and story number 1 comes from Perry. Being caught up, I have been listening to the back catalogue and listening to episode 236 about time slips, and I almost fell off my chair. I heard a couple of people having an experience similar to what I had spent years trying to understand. One morning I did my usual routine of getting ready for the day. I had a potluck lunch with my community and needed a few extra items from the store. I left home at 8 a.m. and started to the store. I knew how to get there and took my usual route. I turned onto a longer stretch of road. I remember driving onto the road. 14 hours later, I opened my eyes and found that I was in a hospital bed. The windows were dark. It was night. I was so scared and confused. A nurse came into my room and I asked, "What happened? Why am I here?" She explained that I had been in an accident and needed to be treated for my injuries. She was happy that I could speak well, as they had just removed my breathing tube. My throat did hurt, and I also had pain across my chest. I discovered circular bruising, which was caused when they had to do CPR. Now that I was awake, they had more tests to run on me. I then asked for the time. The nurse informed me that it was 10:36 p.m. I was staring at her in shock. I had lost 14 and a half hours of my life. In the following days, I endured several tests, MRIs, CT scans, EEG, and a visit with the neurologist. Everything came back normal. There was nothing wrong with me according to the test results, no explaining the missing time. I convinced myself that I had to have been in a short coma. How could I have CPR and a breathing tube inserted and removed without my knowledge or memory? With my insurance agent, I returned to the site of the accident. It was further down the road from my last remembrance. Odd, I thought, because I remembered just making the turn onto this road, but the accident was farther away from the turn. So this was a weird experience that happened and could be easily explained if I had been in a short coma. Life went on and I tried to forget about it until my next experience. Early one evening, I made myself a bowl of ramen and settled down in my comfy chair. I had a streaming movie to watch while I ate. I opened my eyes and was in terrible pain. I was on the floor across the room from my chair. I scrunched across the room to my coffee table where I had my phone. In pain and confusion, I could only think of calling my best friend who lived close by. Of course, she told me to call 911. Duh, I thought, that should have been my first call. Ambulance came and I was carted off to hospital where they discovered that my right arm was out of the socket. I almost passed out from the pain when they popped my arm back into place. The pain was shocking and intense. Over the next few days I had more tests, repeating the same tests as my last visit 2 months ago. I tried to piece together what happened to me that night. One moment I was sitting in my comfy chair and the next moment I was on the floor across from the chair. The movie had long been over and the screensaver was playing. I had no real idea how long it was that I was gone. Retired and not watching the time, I wore no watch. But it was long enough for the movie to end and the screensaver applied. Tracy, my friend, said that when she came to my home, there was a spilled bowl of ramen next to my chair. Okay, I thought. The ramen was scattered around my chair like I had stood up suddenly. I knew the pattern from the one time I had to jump out of my chair to check on my service animal, as I thought she was choking. She was fine, no choking. She was asleep peacefully. Somehow I managed to get from my chair and across the room and had dislocated my arm. How could this happen? In my missing time, I had jumped out of the chair, made it across the room and dislocated my arm. I've no memories of any of this. My only memory is of sitting down at my ramen, and the next time I remember is of being on the floor. Like my accident, I was moving around after these experiences. The third time I had was when I was doing laundry. My appliances are in a closet off my bedroom. Again, I found myself on the floor and with a sharp pain in my back. I had broken my back in 2004 and still get pain if I move the wrong way. I could not move for over an hour, but eventually made it to my bed. I did not go to hospital, having no answers for my costly tests and 2 hospital visits in such a short time. The fourth and final time so far, I was very tired and decided to go to bed, even though it was only 7 p.m. I set my Alexa to play while I slept. I opened my eyes and found that it was 5 p.m. the next day. Again, I was shocked and confused. I'm a very light sleeper. Childhood trauma makes sleeping a challenge for me. I always awaken when Nymphadora, my beloved service animal, needs the potty pad. I was gone for about 21 hours and my bed was dry. I have a high bed and Nymphadora was a 4-pound chihuahua who cannot climb in or out of bed without assistance. But here she was, on a dry bed and no urgent need for the potty pad. I'm usually awoken with her need at least once a night. How had she managed for 21 hours? As far as I know, I was gone again, with my last memory climbing into bed around 7 p.m. that night. To this day, I still don't know what happened any of these times, but I found comfort in episode 236. I heard someone with the same experience, missing time and ending up in a different place. My main fear is that someone or something else is displacing me from my own body. Luckily, I have not had any more experiences in the last few years, but with no answers, could this happen again? I had pushed my experiences to the back of my mind and never entertained the thought of these being paranormal until I heard about others having the same experience. But could it be paranormal? I do not know. I've had to think a lot about what I want to say about this. The first thing I'm going to say is that, so Perry, this isn't remotely about your story because you went and got medical intervention, etc., right? But if you are experiencing missing time in any capacity, do not assume that it is paranormal. Absolutely go and seek medical intervention if you are having weird shit like this happen to you, if you're experiencing missing time. And to be clear, again, Perry, your story, you got the medical intervention and in your case there are no answers. However, in 99% of missing time cases, there are medical answers for it. So don't assume something is paranormal. Definitely, if you've got missing time, any sort of neurological issues that you can't quite understand, go and seek medical intervention. In regards to your story, Perry, I found this absolutely terrifying. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be milling around, doing your standard morning stuff, and then all of a sudden you wake up 14 and a half hours later in hospital and you're like, oh, hello, what am I doing here? And then for everyone to be like, I don't know why you lost your memory. The only thing I will say about this, and I have not remotely experienced anything close to this, right? But I did experience, when I suffered a really traumatic incident, I experienced a huge amount of memory loss, which honestly was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life, because I didn't realize that extreme trauma could induce memory loss. I suppose I'd never really imagined it in actuality, and suddenly having no memory of, huge swathes, huge chunks of your life is absolutely petrifying. And if it was this individual incident, you could say, Obviously, the accident, having CPR, all of having a breathing tube down your throat, all of those things would be incredibly traumatic for both your brain and your body to go through. So is it possible that your brain just blacked everything out, just went, no, we're not dealing with this right now? So if it was an individual incident, I would argue that would be, that a trauma response would be a reasonable explanation, right? But as for the other two, to suddenly be watching a film and then come to across the room with your arm dislocated, and then to wake up 21 hours later in a separate incident. I think it's also really strange that your little dog, woke up 21 hours later as well, having not wet the bed, having not woken you up to get down. It's very strange, like you were in your own little bubble for that period of time. I just find it so terrifying that you could lose that amount of time and that medical professionals wouldn't have any explanation for it. It honestly gives me the heebie-jeebies. I think, in some ways more than anything overtly paranormal. Whatever the answer is to these mysteries, I'm glad that you found solace in episode 236 and found comfort in it, and knew that, there are other people who experience missing time and can't quite figure it out. And also, I hope that this doesn't happen to you again, whether it's medical or anything else. I'm leaning towards medical, but I don't know if that's just me trying to rationalize it to make it less frightening, but I don't think it makes it less frightening if it is medical. Do you know what I mean? But whatever it is, I hope that it doesn't happen to you again, and I hope that you continue to look after yourself and don't end up having to feel this way again, or being injured in a situation that you can't comprehend. And just to reiterate one more time, if you're listening to this and you experience missing time or anything of the sort, seek medical intervention like Perry did. Okay, seek medical intervention.
Explaining football to the friend who's just there for the nachos? Hard. Tailgating from home like a pro with snacks and drinks everyone will love? An easy win. And with Instacart helping deliver the snack time MVPs to your door, you're ready for the game in as fast as 30 minutes. So you never miss a play or lose your seat on the couch or have to go head-to-head for the last chicken wing. Shop Game Day Faves on Instacart and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 grocery orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Other fees and terms apply.
Hey, true crime fans. Tired of ads interrupting your gripping investigations? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. After all, ads shouldn't be the scariest thing about true crime. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free true crime. That's amazon.com/ad-free true crime to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions, and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
And story number 2 comes from Lucy. I just wanted to write in about something I experienced at Christmas 2022. I've always had a real interest in all things supernatural and find all the stories on the podcast to be very compelling. The house I live in now is only 20 years old and sits on a new build estate which is built over the site of the old brick pits. Nothing ghostly about it at all. However, this particular Christmas, myself, my brother, my mum and my granddad were sat down at the dining room table eating dinner. All of a sudden, my granddad started choking. Looking back, this was one of the signs that his vascular dementia was progressing. Not just that my mum's turkey was dry, something which we didn't realise at the time. We were all a bit worried, and he left the table quickly and walked down the hall to the downstairs loo to be sick. He had shut the door and locked it behind him. As our house is quite small and the walls are thin, we'd closed the door between where we were sitting, the living room, and the hall where the downstairs toilet was to give my granddad some privacy. All of a sudden there was an almighty crash against the door next to us, and we rushed out, thinking that my granddad had fallen in the hole. He hadn't. He was still in the bathroom. Outside the door of the living room lay the mirror, which had been hung right opposite the downstairs toilet. The crash was the sound of the mirror smashing against the door next to us. Now, the bizarre thing is that the spot where it landed next to the door is about 3.5 meters directly to the left of where the mirror was hung, and it is too heavy to have bounced, rolled, or slid. We wondered if my granddad had caught it as he had reached the bathroom, but the force with which it had hit the door could only have been described as if someone had picked it up off the hook and lobbed it. We were all in total silence, trying to work out a rational explanation, but there just wasn't one. Physically, it wasn't possible. My mum, who is also a big believer in the paranormal, wondered if it could possibly have been my nana, who died in 2007, warning us that my granddad's dementia was getting worse and that he may need some extra help. A few days later, I tried to rehang the mirror in its usual place, but whatever had initially disturbed it had broken the fixing on the wall, and the mirror fell directly down immediately, exactly how gravity would dictate. Part of the frame had also chipped in the process. This convinced me even more so that it wasn't just the mirror falling off the wall and was something more. The whole thing didn't really spook us, just left us a bit confused and speechless. We've lived here for 6 years and have never sensed a presence whatsoever. I love these kinds of stories where there's just a single anomalous incident and everyone's like, I don't know, what the heck was that? And having seen the picture, I can assure you that there doesn't seem to be like a logical way that the mirror would have flown that far, being flung that far, if it had just fallen off the wall naturally. Like, it would have just fallen straight down, not 3.5 meters to the left. And maybe it was as simple as it being a warning, you know, that maybe it was your nana being like, look, he's just had this incident where he's choked at dinner. I swear it wasn't the turkey being dry. And you need to take this seriously, and I'm going to smash this mirror so that you do take it seriously. It's so weird because you're like, we don't live in a haunted house. We've never had anything like this happen before. And then all of a sudden you have this isolated incident that makes your whole family go, that was weird. It definitely seems like something trying to get your attention, for sure. Thank you so much for listening to day number 3 of 31 Days of Terror. Thank you to Perry and Lucy for sending in your stories. Remember, the last story came from the 20th of August, 2024. And if you would like to send in your story, you can do so by emailing it to reallifeghoststoriespodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out the website, reallifeghoststoriespodcast.com. And if you are desperate for some extra content, you can subscribe to the Patreon. That is patreon.com/reallifeghoststories, where for $5 a month or $2 a month, you get access to heaps of extra content, as well as every single main and mini episode completely ad-free. And on that note, I shall see you next time.
At Humana, our Medicare Advantage plans give you coverage and care you can count on, along with guided support to help you feel your best. You could have a plan with a $0 premium or an all-in-one plan that may include medical and prescription coverage, as well as routine dental, vision, and hearing. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.